Python for Absolute Beginner series. On this episode, we're going to be going over variables and how you can use them to become a better and more efficient coder. So just starting off with our Python shell, make sure that you restart your shell just so that you are not carrying over any code from previous experiments. So there we go, our shell is restarted, and then go ahead and open a new file. If you don't already know, the purpose of a file is to allow you to code without having to individually place a line of code on each line in Python. So an example of that would be importing our turtle, and we want to name our turtle, assign any value besides the name of turtle itself to turtle, and then say we want it to move forward 100. All right, so instead of having to paste each of these lines of code into Python, you can actually just take your shell here and run that. So running your model, just like so. Bam. That way you don't have to individually copy and paste it into Python. So we're going to be working in this window for the rest of the video. So let's start again. We have our turtle. Go ahead and assign the name to your turtle. And then we want our turtle to be the shape of a turtle. So go ahead and assign the shape. And then we want our turtle to write something. We want it to write, "Slow and steady wins the race." There we go. And we want turtle to move forward, maybe 100. And then left 90 degrees. And then we'll have her move forward again. There we go. And we want turtle to write that again. We want her to write, "Slow and steady wins the race." So when she gets to her end destination and when she starts, there'll be some consistency there. Now currently, every time you want Beely to say "slow and steady wins the race," you're manually writing out that sentence. And that sentence could be anywhere, if you had a long string of code or this is a relatively shorter sentence, you have to manually write that out. So is there a way that we can make every time we want Beely to say this a little bit more effective? And the answer is yes, through variables. So we're going to assign a variable. And a variable is basically just assigning a value to something. And a good example of this is if you have, say, a friend, for example, and you go about describing all the things about your friend. They're 6'2", brown hair, blue-eyed, right? You're explaining the factors that make up this person. So every time you refer to this person, do you, go into a detailed description of who they are? No, you likely refer to them with their name, Henry. So instead of having to go into that big description every time, you can easily just refer to them with their name. Similarly, a variable just is a placeholder for the information, similar as Henry is a placeholder for the information that makes up a person. So X is going to be equal to "slow and steady wins the race." And now, everywhere that you have this long sentence, you can replace it with X. You no longer have to write this out every time. So here, X is equal to "slow and steady wins the race." We want Beely to write that, and then we're going to have her move forward, left, forward, and then write it again. Let's go ahead and run that code and see what happens. Perfect. So let's make this even more interesting. Let's have Beely, we're going to have her move left again. We're going to have her do a complete circle, or not circle, square. So left 90 again. And then we're going to have her move forward and left again. Sweet. And then at the end, we're going to have her write, or actually, we'll have her write it here. Left, forward, and then, Beely right. We'll have her write that, and again, we don't have to write out "slow and steady wins the race." We just can put in our variable X. Let's run that code. Cool. There we go. So that is how you use variables. I want to challenge you to have your turtle say slow and steady wins the race at, let's say, 2 points in a line of code. So go ahead and take that as a challenge to go ahead and program a variable, slow and steady. You could use anything. It doesn't have to be X. Slow and steady wins the race. And if you are interested to know why slow doesn't help you win the race, but instead being steady does, I wrote an interesting blog post about that I'll link below. So you can also check out Trinket.io. They have some great resources and a really cool line of code that exemplifies the writing function. Here, I'll play it. It says click and drag. So you can actually click and drag this turtle. And as you can see, some cool things are happening on the screen. So this is just the beginning of what you could do with the code. I encourage you to kind of experiment and try for yourself. Go ahead and plugging in the right function and assigning it as a variable. All right, signing off. See you next time.